Okay, we are live, and this is the LPO happy hour of the week, and I am extremely happy to be joined by four great artists, four great ladies, four fabulous violinists. My name is Carlos Miguel Prieto. I'm music director of the Louisiana Philharmonic, and I'm joined by Eva, Zhaneta, Yuki, and Zorica. I'm not going to pronounce all your last names because it just makes it more complicated. But I do want to say that it's a big privilege to say hi to all of you. And I'd like to start saying hi to Eva. Eva, how are you? Where are you?
I'm great. Thank you so much for having me and us. This is so much fun. I am right now in Costa Rica, and I've been here for about 3 months. So it's so nice to see familiar faces that we should have been working for 3 months now, but you know, it's good to be here. So yeah.
Zhaneta, how are you? Where are you?
Hello. Yes, I'm pretty good. I'm very excited to be here. I've missed you all, guys, all of you. And I'm here in New Orleans for the first time in this summer. For the past 13 years, I usually go home in Bulgaria or in Europe. But so far, it has been pretty good.
Yuki, how are you and where are you?
I am on vacation in the Cape Cod in Massachusetts. So we flew and everything was fine, and it's nice to be here. The weather is gorgeous, and thank you for having us.
Thank you for accepting this. And Zorica, where are you? How are you?
I'm good. I'm in my house actually in Mandeville, so I've been here the entire time since the pandemic started. And I'm not gonna be able to go to Europe this summer, so I'm just trying to stay busy here and do different projects, and that's it.
So tell us what are some of those projects that you've been doing?
Well, I've done some just solo recordings, and this is just for my personal, just for myself. Then we did some, actually, we did with some of the other LPO violins. We did the project that Harry Connick Jr. is doing, and I think it's gonna go live this Sunday, I think at 7 p.m. on CBS. So, it was a small string, actually just violin section, and we did it right when New Orleans started reopening. I think it was like middle of May or something like this. So we were socially, distance like 6 feet apart with masks. It was in the Jackson Square, but it was nice to be at least playing with other people from the orchestra. So it was really great, and I can't wait to be back playing together with everybody.
Same here. And Yuki, did you take your violin to Cape Cod?
Oh, no, I left it with my student house.
Okay.
So, yeah,
the question didn't have any reason behind it. It's just to see whether it's a real vacation or not.
Yes, this is 100% vacation. I mean, I've been practicing every day at least an hour. So, this is the first time I'm like away from violin since this spring.
And so what is it like in Cape Cod? Are things opening up, etc.?
Yes, I think Massachusetts phase 2 just started last week. So I'm very fortunate that we could come to this hotel, because I had no idea if we could come and stay. This trip was planned a long time ago. So I was really hoping that we could come, and then here we are. So the restaurants, like last night we ate outdoor seating. This afternoon too, bars are closed, but I think it's starting to happen.
Good. And Eva, in Costa Rica, how are things?
Things are fine in Costa Rica. Actually, there's been a little bit of a going up of cases. So it's not really like Zorica was telling me earlier, like not really a second wave because we had like very little cases in the beginning. So it's kind of like a peak now, but things are starting to reopen anyway. And there's no community spread. So like, I think the Ministry of Health has done a good job keeping the tracing of the cases and all that stuff. But there's a lot of people on the streets now, and but everybody's wearing their masks and kind of following protocols and everything. So I've been in my house most of the time, and I just have like a little social bubble with a family friend. And so it's like 3 people that I see regularly, but that's pretty much it. Yeah.
And Zhaneta, you were telling us right before we went live that you had a concert of your many students. So you have been teaching online? Is that something you're doing?
I kept teaching online throughout the pandemic wave, and now little by little I started teaching one-to-one live lessons with our masks, and I actually 50% of the time I'm cleaning more than teaching. But I definitely prefer teaching in person because I'm not a technical person, and really got tired of this technical life we're living already 3 months. So I already had 2 recitals online with my students through Zoom, which was very, very interesting. I had some students from China, and the time difference was 13 hours ahead, so we had to schedule it. The first recital was a pajama recital. It was at 8 p.m. It was very funny for the kids.
And Victor, how's he doing?
Yeah, my son, he's doing very well now. He's practicing every day, and I finally have time to practice as well, proudly. We had time to go to the beach a few times, and I'm talking with my friends and my colleagues in Europe and in Bulgaria to see how their concert life goes, which has been very different from the States, I think.
So concerts are happening in Bulgaria?
Today actually was the opening night of the summer season in Varna, my hometown, and they had their concert indoors. People were wearing their masks, of course, following the social distancing. There, from the string section, there was only 1 person per stand. And I guess with diminished size of the orchestra. Before that, my colleague told me that opera singers were singing from the balcony of the opera house, and the audience was outdoors, and it was for free, which was very beautiful. It had a big interest over there.
So I want you to, because the common thread in this chat is that you are all 4 violinists who came from other countries to the United States. So
yeah, we're very scary.
Ask each one of you, Zorica, to tell us not only where you're from, but how and when did you come to the LPO?
Okay, I'm gonna start then. I think my first year in LPO was 2003. So I'm from Bulgaria also, as Zhaneta is.
Cheers.
So I was still doing my master's degree, so I played the audition and I got the job. So I finished my master's degree, and then I've been here ever since.
And do you have close family in Bulgaria?
Oh yes, I mean all of my family is in Bulgaria. I don't have anybody in the States actually.
Okay, and Eva, tell us your story.
My story. I am from Costa Rica, and I went to. So it's like the pandemic is making everything like a nebulous. I went to the States in 2002 to go to university, and I joined the LPO in 2008. And I also been there since then. And it's been great. Yeah, it's great to be in New Orleans. Well, not right now, but yeah.
And Yuki, so
Yes.
tell us your story.
Okay, I am originally from Japan. I grew up in Tokyo. And what brought me here to the States was my father's job. So my parents and I moved to California when I was 20 years old. And then after the schooling, I joined the LPO in 1999 season. So I think I remember when everybody came. This is going to be my 22nd season in September.
That's great. And Zhaneta?
Yes, I'm from Bulgaria originally, and I did my master's degree in Florida at Florida State University. And in 2007, I was invited to have an audition in a German orchestra, which was very unusual. And so on my way to there, I passed by New Orleans because I saw there was audition. And I got the job. And I kind of love it. So I've been here in the orchestra for 13 years already.
So actually, you've all been in the, Yuki since 99, Zorica since 2003, Eva 2008, and Zhaneta since 2007. Is that right?
That's correct.
That is wonderful. And one thing which people who follow the LPO may not know is that, and I always like to say it, but is that we don't actually pick and choose musicians by where they're from or what they look like or anything. Our audition process is like any other orchestra, is behind a screen. So there is no way to know who is behind that screen unless you make it to the last, sometimes the last round, and then the screen may come down. In the case of the Louisiana Philharmonic, the last round, the judges can vote to make the screen come down. So then you meet the candidates one-on-one. Here in Mexico, where I am from, that's impossible. The screen never comes down. But in your case, I seem to remember, Zhaneta, that you were actually one of those people who had the last round with the screen down, wasn't it?
Yes.
And your audition was in Kenner, wasn't it?
No, it was at Russell Hall.
At Russell Hall, okay, yes.
Yes.
Because we audition in different places. So can you tell me, in the case of Eva, for example, you are from Costa Rica, which is a country that I know well and I love very well. And you know Mexico also very well. I think you have more musician friends in Mexico than I do, because you are a very sociable person. So is this the way you've always been, that wherever you go, you make friends? Because I swear, anywhere I go, people know you because, you know, they were either in university with you or they were in an summer orchestra with you. You seem to be like a super sociable person. Am I right?
This is weird because I consider myself an introvert, but I guess I'm a social introvert. I really like talking to people one-on-one. I prefer that better than large crowds. So I think that's probably why I get to know people closely, because I like to talk to people personally and like just have conversations. I don't think I consider myself to be super social, but I guess the friends that I do are are good friends. So I guess it's a combination of things. Yeah.
And you know, the reason why I say it is because sometimes as you know, I'm doing all these Zooms and Facebooks and Instagram. For me, it's such a mess. But and suddenly Eva shows up and asks a question that shows that Eva knows somebody that I've been working with for about 13 or 14 years better than I know that person. Because 2 days ago, I did an Instagram live with an English horn player from the National Symphony, also plays in Mineria. And I think it was you, Eva, who either asked the question about Rolando's plants or his
Yes.
cat. Or his cat, is that not right?
It was the plants, because I've been to his place when I was in the last summer there, and before that too. I am good friends with Rolly, and I've been to his place, and I also love plants very much. So you know, I knew he had a really great collection of plants, so that's why. I mean, we're close friends, I guess. So yeah, I knew a little secret.
I mean, it's like every single time I do anything online, one of the first people who shows up is Eva, and she always knows everyone who I'm interviewing, and actually she started the thread yesterday of having 2 days ago of having this English horn player who is also oboist, who not only started talking about his plants, but took his phone, which he was using, and showed us like all his plants. Not all, because there was, I think he says he has 67 plants,
right,
and 1 cat. And
oh my God.
this made for an incredible conversation. So one thing I want to ask you is, can you tell us about some of your like hobbies that have nothing to do with music? Let me start with Yuki. I mean, what do you like to do when you're not playing music?
Oh, okay, hobby. My biggest hobby would be I like to take a walk. So, you know, anytime, any place, if I have a little time, I start walking. I walked every day since March 13th. So I kept walking for 95 days, for about 45 minutes. So, yeah, so that's me. And then I like to go get coffee and cookies. Oh,
So,
and then I love watching TV. Some you know, I love to watch reality shows.
please don't tell me, oh, you know, I just have to make a terrible confession to you. So my daughters and their cousins, they were with their cousins a couple of weeks ago, and I was horrified when I heard and saw that they were watching reality TV, which for me was like the worst, because it was the Kardashians. You know this?
Oh my God.
But yes, well, I have to confess, I do watch. Yes.
Oh,
So
my.
I made a very stupid comment, like you are used to hearing me make, but this one was really very innocent. And you know, they were like 5 girls between the ages of 15 and 19 watching the Kardashians. And I, of course, I know a little bit about the Kardashians, but I know no details. Okay. So I said something which was my first thought, which is, oh, everyone in this show seems to have had a lot of surgery, a lot of, and I said, except for this guy. And they say, wait, 2 seasons from now, this guy will become a woman. Do you know about this?
Yes,
So
yes, Carlos. I know
it's like,
everything about. You can ask me everything about Kardashians, because like I follow that show. Yes, you are right about that. Yes.
So
it's,
so
it's a
what
part
happened to me is that the only person in the show who seems to not have had a lot of work done was about to have even more work done. So sorry to share with you this, but this is happy hour and Zhaneta has Prosecco. So maybe it's not such
And I
a
have a lot of fun.
not such a bad thing. But I have to say, I think I
you-
watched.
Yes. So when
I
they
watched-
were watching, I think they must have been watching repeat. So
Oh,
that particular episode happened like a couple of years ago. Yeah. So there have been lots of repeats, and I watch. Yes, I have to confess, but they're just entertaining. But it's a lot of things about how to deal with your family. So I enjoy those personalities. And I mean, some of them are real.
Yuki, I just have to confess to you. I think of all the orchestra, you would have been the last person I would have imagined would watch the Kardashians.
Exactly.
Well, yes, yeah,
Oh.
I mean, yes, yeah. I really
I
like them
agree.
for some reason.
So let me ask, Zorica, do you watch the Kardashians?
Well, honestly, to tell you the truth, I don't even watch TV, and I don't know, I get bored from watching, and I usually fall asleep. So I just even turned off our cable at home because nobody's watching it. But I know who the Kardashians are. I've never watched their show, so I cannot comment anything on that.
And so what about you, Zhaneta?
Oh, I cannot stand it. I'm so sorry. I cannot take this.
And
Yeah.
you, Eva?
I've watched some Kardashians, not the whole thing, but I've watched, like it's entertaining. It's really entertaining. So you can get into it. Maybe I've watched like 2 or 3 episodes in a row. And so, yeah, but I haven't watched the whole thing. It's entertaining. You have to see it to see what it is. So it's good.
Yeah, this for me was like the least educational thing, but then I guess I just like said, okay, because my daughters and my son are still in school because school in Mexico is still going on. I mean, they're not in like real school, they're in this. So they have conversations with their friends who are elsewhere in the world, and they're all not in school. So imagine that. So there has to be some kind of release, and I guess the Kardashians is there like a Costa Rican Kardashian family, Eva? Does that even exist?
Carlos, I have no idea. I don't think there is anything like that. And since I don't really see like Costa Rican TV often at all, and I don't really follow anything, I'm not sure, but I probably not. Yeah.
They about a year ago, somebody on a plane asked me, have you watched this reality show called Mexican Dynasties? Okay. And so I said, no, I have no idea. And this person says, just watch the first episode. I think you'll be blown away. And so I did watch the first episode. It's called Mexican Dynasties. And I was a combination of having a lot of fun and absolutely horrified, because the objective of this show is to tell Americans, especially Americans from like LA or Miami, that Mexico is not what people think it is. But and people in Mexico live like these 4 Mexican families. Well, I can tell you, all these people live in places that I've never been to. They live in a way that I've never seen anybody live in Mexico like, and they're all the most like, how can I say, un-Mexican as it can be, but they all have one thing in common. They love Mexican food, and for them, that's being Mexican. And to me, it was very, very interesting because I was thinking, okay, is this like a Mexican version of these reality shows in the US? And then I had a concert at the Auditorio Nacional, which is a big place in Mexico, 10,000 people. And one of these ladies who was one of the dynasties shows up after the concert, and she says, "Can I take a photo with you?" And I said, "No, can I take a photo with you? I watch your show." And she could absolutely not believe it. She could not think. So I watched one episode. Eva, you seem to know what this is about.
I've seen it on Netflix, you know, all the things that go by, and I've seen it, but I've never actually clicked on it to watch it, but I know what you're talking about.
I mean, I don't know if this happens in Costa Rica, but in Mexico, there's people who love to show off that they live the same way that people would live in like Miami, but it's Mexico City. And that's what that show is about. But I don't know if this is too vain a conversation. Maybe we should start talking about, so are you the only one drinking something, Zhaneta?
Apparently, I'm not. Well, that's an alcoholic. I swear.
Oh, no.
But come on, somebody. I mean,
This is a mystery drink.
Yeah.
That looks like tea. Like
it's a mystery drink.
Oh. Wow.
No, it is tea. Don't worry.
Okay.
I wish it was something else like Prosecco.
Oh yeah. You know, Yuki, I'll tell you something. In that Instagram live that Eva and I were present 2 days ago, the English horn player, who is a very interesting character. He's a very good musician, but he's also he's one of these people who always loves to learn about life. He approached me like 3 years ago, and he said, "I want to go to Japan to learn to play hichiriki."
Oh,
You know this? Okay, so I said, "Okay, sure, Rolando. If you find somebody, and if you find the opportunity, I can help you. You know, see if we can find funds through the Mexican government." So Rolando found the #1 hichiriki player in the world, who is this very famous lady. And
I think I know who she is.
He spent 1 year with her and came back playing hichiriki and speaking very little Japanese, but he is absolutely in love with Japan. And in this interview 2 days ago, he actually played on the hichiriki. And one of the things he told us, which for me was a discovery, was that the only way to get the reeds, like the oboe reeds, wet is using Japanese green tea. Do you know this?
That's new to me. Wow.
He said that it was like it was unique. It was part of the tradition.
Wow. So hichiriki is as you know, Japanese traditional, like really traditional instrument that's used only in a traditional theater. Is that right?
Yeah.
And then hichiriki is every time I hear hichiriki sound, that makes me laugh. I don't know what you thought, because it's just so funny. Just makes me laugh.
It's not the most beautiful sound, at least based on the sound that Rolando produced in that day, but I'm sure that it can become beautiful. Do you play, Zorica, any Bulgarian traditional music, like folk music?
I don't play, but I actually did some research on, well, I did my last project for my DMA on Bulgarian music. That it's a classical music, but it's based on folklore. and the composer actually imitates a lot of the folklore instruments on the violin. So I did a lot of they're basically solo
Violin.
pieces written for solo violin, but it's full of folklore elements and imitation of folklore instruments. But I've never tried the actual instruments. I just know how they sound, and I try to do that on my violin.
This is fascinating because if you probably know the Bartók duos for two violins, and several of them are actually based on Bulgarian folk themes, and some of them probably to you are very natural, but to me they sound extremely exotic and extremely interesting. And I'd like to ask you, Zhaneta, if you remember two things. One is that you gave me once a bottle of rakia. Do you remember this?
Yes, of course.
And the second thing, which only Zorica and Zhaneta will know here, maybe, I think, is that the first time I ever did any piece of music from Bulgaria, anytime, was a piano concerto, and it was proposed by a very fabulous Bulgarian pianist. And he said, you have to learn this piano concerto. And it's this great composer, and it's a very romantic concerto. The composer's name is Pancho Vladigarov. And I was like, you must be kidding me, right? I mean, if you tell anyone in Mexico that Pancho is a Bulgarian composer, they will look at you like, what? So I think we may have already gone through this conversation before, Zhaneta, but do you have any idea why one of the most famous composers from Bulgaria is called Pancho?
Pancho actually was a very traditional Bulgarian name as well.
But
it was very common.
Is it Pancho is that like a Slavic name, or it's just the imitation of Pancho?
It's not Pancho Sanchez, or no. We have Pancho as well.
You know, if I think of Pancho, I think of somebody who has a big belly, okay?
Yeah.
Because Pancho is a short name for Francisco, okay? Yeah, it's just, that's the name, Francisco. And like if you call somebody Francisco, it's a little bit too long. And, you know, Spanish speaking people will always shorten things. So, you know, they will call Francisco Paco. You know, it's very typical Paco. And Pancho is, you know, it's like Pancho. And so it's I could not believe that there was a Bulgarian composer by the name of Pancho Vladigarov, but apparently he's also, he must have been an incredible pianist, because this piano concerto is like harder than any Rachmaninoff. Was he a pianist?
He was pianist. He was phenomenal instrumentalist, composer, amazing character. He had fluent French, fluent German. He was the director of the Berlin theater before the war. And he was amazing character. He was teacher of my parents as well. And he was a godfather of my mother. So my grandfather was friend of his because he was an artist, and they supported each other in town. And I know many stories about him. But he was incredible talent, yes.
So is that somebody that you met personally or not?
No, unfortunately he passed away a few years before I was born. But the entire Bulgarian conservatory knows so many stories about him and jokes, and a person in my family. And it's a long, it could be a long conversation for another Prosecco about him. Yes, or rakia.
By the way, I did have I did drink the whole bottle of rakia, but not on my own, because
Good.
this rakia is like tequila, no? It's very strong.
It's very strong, and you usually eat it with a salad, green salad.
Oh.
Oh, yeah.
And Yuki, you told us that you came to the US because your parents came to the US, but did you start playing the violin in Japan?
Yes, I did. Yes, my first teacher was my aunt, my mom's younger sister. I started when I was 3.5.
And-
not with Suzuki, but traditional method.
And how is it, do little kids in Japan still, is there a lot of violin playing, a lot of string playing still today?
I think so. It's very common to study for the little kid to, study piano, violin. I think those two instruments.
Mhm.
But they tend to quit when they are, like 4th, 5th grades, because they take more emphasis on academic. So that's a little too disappointing that they kind of quit studying music, unless they go for professional course.
Right. Zorica, you told us that you had done like a postgraduate thesis. Can you share with us the theme, and when did you do it, and where did you do it?
Well, I just graduated actually right now during the pandemic. Was my last defense. It was on Zoom also. So I did it at, yeah, I did it at LSU, and it was just the solo violin music of Petr Christoskov, who was one of the really great violinists and pedagogues, violin pedagogues. He was very long time the concertmaster of Sofia Philharmonic, and he was also one of my violin professor in Bulgaria. He was her professor. So he wrote a lot of music for violin, and really a lot of solo violin music. And it's why I decided to do it, because actually these caprices are very good pedagogical tool. They're similar to Wieniawski and Paganini's caprices, but they're actually not at all well known here in United States, but you can learn a lot of different, like there are a lot of uneven rhythms, which for me, since I'm used to Bulgarian folklore, it's nothing really that hard or nothing unusual, but for people who are not used to uneven rhythms, it's pretty tough to do. There are also a lot of different modes, which, how you said, it sounds very exotic for people who do not know this music. So, and I think even Zhaneta was, she gave 1 or 2 of these caprices to some of her students. So kids
Who recently had his solo recital and played 2 of them. And we played the Bartok duet together, by the way, the same, the one that you mentioned before. And it's very well accepted from the kids in here.
Oh, really?
They're fun, yes.
I'll tell you a little story that happened to me in actually February in Mexico City. I was conducting in Bellas Artes, the National Symphony, and we were doing an oboe concerto, which was like an incredibly difficult piece with a very, very famous Swiss oboist. And the reason why we were doing that piece is because there was an oboe convention in Mexico City. And in that same program, I was doing Mahler's Symphony No. 7. And the Mahler 7 is a very hard piece, and I was very tired. And right in intermission, there's somebody, a face that I had not seen in about 15 years, shows up about this close to me and says hi. And that was Maxim Ashkenazi. Do you know him? Do you know who I'm talking about?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so Maxim, I believe his girlfriend or his wife is a famous American oboe teacher. And that's why he was there. And Maxim is of a family of very, very famous string players, isn't he?
Mm-hmm.
It's his brother correct me if I'm wrong, but his brother is concertmaster of Concertgebouw or somebody.
Yes,
no?
exactly.
Yes.
Yeah. So I wanted to ask, since we have two Bulgarians, why is there such a strong string tradition in Bulgaria versus, for example, a tradition of winds? Why strings? I'm telling you this because every single orchestra in Mexico has Bulgarians, and every single orchestra, every single Bulgarian is a string player, and most of them violinists. Can you explain to me why?
I think
Zorica, you go ahead.
yeah, and that's how I explain it to myself, at least. Since there was, during the communism, Bulgaria was very well connected with the USSR. And as you know, the Russian school is, especially the violin school, is very strong. So there was a very strong connection between Russia and Bulgaria. And a lot of actually Bulgarian artists studied in Moscow Conservatory. And that's how I explain it. I'm not sure about the winds or the brass players. There right now, I mean, there are pretty good ones as well. I cannot say, just not as many. So I think that's the connection.
Yeah, I agree with that. And also we have been influenced from the European school system, and combined with the Russian school system, I think it worked really well.
Have any of you ever been, I'm not asking Eva, have any of you been to Costa Rica?
No.
No.
So I'll tell you one thing, which the first time I went to Costa Rica, I think was 2003. And the first thing that was amazing to me was, and I landed in San Jose and immediately went to a place called Earth University, which is in the it's in the Caribbean side of Costa Rica. The Pacific coast is very famous for very posh hotels and beaches, and the Caribbean, I thought, was like the most magical natural place. Very strong influence of all kinds, and I was fascinated by a couple of things which I wanted to ask you about, Eva. One of the things is the respect that you have in your country for nature, for respecting nature. The road between San Jose and Limon, which is the nearest big place to Earth University, is basically a one lane, and with it's just really a lot of respect for nature, how they build this. And then this university, which is called Earth University, was amazing to me because we actually were always eating natural food that was amazing. Actually, I've never eaten as much beans and rice in my life, okay? And bananas. And so the other thing is that it was hot, like it's probably, I imagine it's hot in New Orleans now.
It is.
Okay, but I imagine that you have at least a little bit of air conditioning. Well, Earth University does not believe in any kind of air conditioning. And my wife was 5 months pregnant. Okay, who you know,
oh my God.
5 months pregnant. And we were doing this crazy program that included, just very difficult program in one small little space that was so humid. That's my first thing about remembering Costa Rica. And then on our day off, we went to the beach. And in the beach, there were monkeys. Okay, monkeys from the street. So, and this is something that I admire so much about Costa Rica. Even when I went later, which I went to the other side, they still have this respect for nature. Is that something that they teach you as a little kid? Is that like one of the sacred things in Costa Rica, Eva?
Yeah, definitely. We have what's called like national reserves or national parks, and I don't I don't remember exactly when they passed a law where they were going to protect a lot of the territory to keep it that way. And so that stretch that you were talking about from the Earth University to Limon, I think that all that part is called Braulio Carrillo National Park. And so it's like, because also there's a lot of volcanoes, and there's a lot of national park reserves that are actually great for tourism, because people come and they pay a ticket. You know, that's how we make our wealth in the country, besides exportation of coffee, I guess. But so yes, I remember as a kid, filling out one of those, like the FIFA football albums, you know, that you buy the little things, but it was for national parks. So you had to learn in which area of the country, which species were there, and what were the names of the different national parks. So yeah, now that you mention it, it's pretty present in our education since we were little, because I mean, it's our main resource. So I guess we learn how to respect it, and I think it's fantastic. Yeah, it's great.
And one thing that also through my work with Orchestra of the Americas, I've met so many of fabulous musicians from Costa Rica, and one of them is Fernando Mesa, who I think you know, who is seriously one of the best percussionists or best percussion teachers that I have ever met. And he is actually in the faculty at the University of Minnesota. And in the last years, I have to tell you, I think you already know this, but some of your young country mates have been winning positions in amazing orchestras.
Carlos, no te escuchamos.
Sorry. Did I do something wrong? Can you hear me?
Yeah, it's
Yes.
okay now.
Okay, well, so Costa Rica suddenly, and I also met a fabulous clarinetist who was, I think, in the Minnesota Orchestra.
Gabi, yeah.
Gabi, yeah. So or is he the one who's now at the Metropolitan Opera, or no?
No, the Metropolitan is Hugo.
Hugo.
Yeah.
Hugo, horn player.
Yes, horn player. Gabi plays the clarinet, and he's in Minnesota. Yeah.
So, and I mean, the reason I say this is because you seem to have, per capita, one of the most successful music programs in Latin America. If I don't want to make this calculation, but if we count per capita the number of musicians that you have in Costa Rica compared to Mexico, you would win by a lot. Is that something that started at some point? Is there like a El Sistema or a similar Costa Rican thing?
Yes, there's a story to that. Actually, today, now that you mentioned Fernando Mesa, I was rewatching. There's this documentary that was made in, I think, like 74 or something, about the creation of it's called the youth program, el Programa Juvenil de la Orquesta Sinfónica Nacional, the youth program of the National Symphony Orchestra. So it was created when, I think in 72, as a joint program with the national, as the National Symphony Orchestra. The players there, a lot of people from the United States and different countries came to do that project. So they came to play in the National Symphony, and they taught kids as part of that project in the afternoon. So Fernando was in that documentary, like a little kid. He's like, I don't know, maybe like 9 years old, playing the drums, and it was so funny to see it. But so this program started then, and it's being, I think, like a, how do you say in Spanish, a semillero? How do you know, like a production of really good musicians? Because from the beginning, it was always like the goal was to create a school that would support and create musicians for the next National Symphony Orchestra of Costa Rica. And so it was always very serious and with like a really focused vision to do this. And I was part of this program. I went to the youth orchestra, and I mean, it's fantastic. I actually think that this program was created before El Sistema. And then Abreu came and kind of had the idea of what it was, and then took it and like made it exponentially bigger in Venezuela. But that's the root. It started in '72. Yeah.
That's amazing. I'm going to read some of the things that your fans write. Kiran Angadi, who some of you know, says, hello, gorgeous Zhaneta. Kiran also says, the Pew are watching you all from Aspen, Colorado. Lucky you. Kiran Angadi says, Bulgaria. And Kiran Angadi, cheers, my darling. JT Kane, hey, violins, great to see you. Great to hear from you, JT. Scott Higgins says, ta-da. Drew Blaylock, yay, some of my favorite violinists. Lulu Reeks, one of the coolest things to come from the pandemic is Eva singing. I just have to stop there. What is that about?
Lulu. Oh my God. So, you know, like at the beginning of the pandemic, I was like, okay, I need to be productive and do things. So I started just having fun. I was like doing my mandalas and drawing things that I do. And then there's like, I started listening to a lot of music that I don't usually have the chance to do it. And there's this song by this violinist called Andrew Bird. I don't know if you know him. He's like a fantastic musician. He has like guitar and violin and loops and things like that. And I love this song so much. So I was listening to it a lot, and he just plays the violin. So I was listening to it and kind of figure out the chords that he played with the violin and sang the song and did a little clip of it on Instagram. And I put it up, and I guess people think that I have a really nice singing voice, but you know, it's just me singing.
Yuki, do you sing in Japanese?
Yes, yeah, I do. I like to sing because, you know, as a kids, we learn so many Japanese like traditional tunes, cute tunes. So yeah, I find myself singing, you know, every time. Oh yeah, this is a Girls' Day song. This is a song for the, I don't know, summer. Yes, I like to do it.
You know, one thing I've been thinking about is that when we come out of this crazy thing, we all have to learn from you how to greet each other, because that's how we are going to greet each other, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yes, yeah, I know. We don't shake and we don't hug, but yes. So I'm like, wow, everybody has to do in you know, with that Japanese way, of which is we do this.
Yep. Oh,
Yep.
That we're all. I mean, I actually have gone once to Japan.
Oh yes, I remember you went.
And it was an incredible experience. For about 3 years after going to Japan, the 3 years after, I was unable to eat sushi or anything, or I love shabu shabu. And I had such incredible shabu shabu in Tokyo that everything else after that, I couldn't, but I love Japanese food. But let me keep reading some of these because there's funny. George Colley, LPO violinist rock. Paul Werner, hello Zorica from Paul, Noka. Lulu Reeks, everyone has such beautiful art behind them. I don't have any kind of art behind me,
You
but
have a
you
door.
do. Kieran again says, I know Zhaneta can play perfectly by ear, like Mozart. Can you all play by ear? I guess what she refers to is that you can cite, you can just play
Yeah,
from
by ear.
yeah. Is that something, Zorica, you also have this? You hear a melody, you can play it?
Yeah.
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 And Eva too, you have this? So
Más o menos.
Más o menos. And you, Yuki?
Yeah, it's easy for me to memorize once I hear something.
You know, at the beginning of the pandemic, I tried to be cool and figure out on the violin some of the tunes that my girls listen to. And it took me like 8 tries to figure out one song by, I don't know who, it's called La Tusa. Eva, you must know this song, yes, but it's Tusa. Who sings this?
I don't know, but the name is really funny because it sounds, in Costa Rica, tusa means like something despective, you know?
Well,
So,
but that's a very, very famous song. And I tried to figure it out on violin. And I was left with the impression that I can sight read or I can play things that are classical, but pops, I have a very, very hard time, especially with that song. I think that it's by Shakira, but I'm not really sure. Let me see what else. Bob Gross, Val and Bob are watching. Hi, Val, and hi, Bob. Very, very nice.
hello.
From you.
Hi.
Kieran again, let's play some Hadjev. Is that the Bulgarian? Hadjev?
Hadjev, Parashke Hadjev, yes.
So what does that mean?
She knows a lot. That's the
Kieran knows
composer's
about
name.
everything.
Yes, she knows a lot about classical music. She's a huge fan of our orchestra. Very creative person, very arts person, gorgeous one. And I just say hello to her from me. And we're going to have a concert at home, so she's invited.
Okay. Well,
Yes.
Here it says Scott Higgins, former percussionist. Hi. And then we also have Bill Schultz. Hi, Scott, from a former cellist. You all remember Bill. Hi, Bill.
Mm-hmm.
So it's nice to see so many people saying hi. I missed you all. You cannot imagine how much. It's. I think we're not gonna get sad here, but I'm really, want September to be something very special. And actually, since none of you are part of the committee that has been working out programs, you have to know that we have worked out more programs than in 10 years, depending on alternative A, B, C, D, E, or whatever. And so we're gonna have work, and we're gonna have a very big challenge. And I have a question for those of you who are in New Orleans. Are you able to, or do you walk I mean, because I know things are opening up. Have you wandered around? Have you gone to a restaurant, or you prefer just to stay home? Zorica,
well, I walk every day actually, but I haven't been in a restaurant. I'm still, afraid to go around people I do not know. But yeah, I do grocery shopping with my mask. I walk every day at least for an hour, but it's not, supposedly it's not dangerous when you're outside. So I try to at least exercise. And it's everything, everything is already opening up, restaurants, businesses. So it's pretty busy. Even the traffic is getting again too busy. So it looks like it's back to normal, but we still have to, be very precautious with the situation because the cases are again rising up.
Yeah, I've been walking every single day with my friend Maria since March 13. We walked, I think we were the only people walking on the streets during the peak of the coronavirus. It was so beautiful. I've never seen such a beautiful, clean sky and clean streets, especially on Bourbon Street. It was just beautiful. But recently we saw that bars are opening, especially the gardens. And last time, it was yesterday or 2 days ago, it was pretty crowded with people.
Interesting. Oh, I just found somebody sent me a message what Tusa is, and it's by a singer by the name of Carol G and Nicki Minaj. You know this?
Oh my God, Carlos. Cheers.
Were you
Now
playing
I
that
understand
violin?
why it's hard to do it on the violin.
I'm sure you can dance it.
Well, let me tell you, some of the moves of the video are special, okay? And I mean,
To say the least.
to say the least. So I just want you to imagine me with two teenage daughters, okay, where this song is probably the most often, the thing that I hear the most, okay? So just, move over Beethoven, move over Mozart. This is my quarantine music.
Were you playing this?
Well, yes, because can you hear the violins playing?
No.
Yeah, I mean, it's really very simple. At the beginning is la fa mi re re, la fa mi re 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 mi fa la 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 fa mi re re. But then I got an arrangement which plays what they sing, and that's when it starts getting tough. But I have to tell you one thing just from the bottom of my heart, which is very unique for me, and I think it's probably not you only me, it's anyone who has a family. It's that, as you know, I had kind of a crazy life, and I have to say that being a complete full-time father is one of the most challenging things that I have ever experienced ever, okay? Challenging, wonderful, and incredible in every sense. I have gained more admiration for teachers, that being music teachers, school teachers, anything, than I would ever have. I have gained more admiration for my wife and also for my kids, because 4 months of this kind of schooling is something that, at least when I was that age, I just could not have imagined. So I think this thing, at least for someone like me, and I've talked to colleagues who have or had lives like me, have been opportunities to get to know parts of your kids that you don't know if you are there 3 out of 4 weeks or 2 out of 4 weeks. And when you are there all the time, I guess it is not only harder, but it is also more more wonderful. And one thing, my son is 10, and
Already.
time flies, and they give him a weekly assignment that has nothing to do with school. So like one of the assignments was to put an egg, okay, and to drop it and find a way to not break it, okay? So we found a way, with wet paper towels and whatever. But these things are, very, very special. Can you tell us, and with this we'll kind of start wrapping up, but what is it about these weeks that you think you will remember, and I'm not talking about the sadness or the difficulty, but what have these weeks taught you that you could never imagine? Let's start with Eva.
Okay, so I think I try to be optimistic about it and see it as an opportunity to change things that maybe we weren't doing the right way, not only in the music field, but everything else. And so I think the fact that we've been having to kind of look inside by being in close quarters with our family or by ourselves or whatever has made us kind of put a mirror in front to see, like as society or humanity or whatever. And I would like to think that people want to change for the better. And having all the challenges with this pandemic, and I think it just gives us a push to be creative and just to have the opportunity to change things. I see it optimistically like that. I would like for things to get better than they were before. So yeah.
And Zorica.
Well, for me, I found since I had to do a lot of teaching and I had to find a lot of creative ways to do it online, especially with a big group of kids, and not all of them had a very good internet connection. So you always have to find something first that you have to show them and to be positive and to show them that you care about them, to keep them positive, to keep their willingness to play and to keep them, motivated during this time. So that was challenging in the beginning, but I tried to find ways to get better with that. So basically, I was just trying to do what's my best to keep the students and my kid as well, go through that tough time without getting down.
Yeah, good for you. And Zhaneta.
I actually enjoyed that time. For the first time, I had enough time to do everything I wanted per day. Had time to rest, started enjoying the little things more, had more time to spend with family, with my son, started gardening. For March, I started learning French. I gave up. In April, I restarted Spanish, and then now I'm relearning German. So things like that. When you're gonna have time for these things? That's why I'm enjoying it so far.
Good,
Yeah.
Yuki.
Yes. Hi, Zhaneta. Guten Tag. So, everybody has a busy life, and you have to do what you have to do, and you don't look back. But this pandemic, we were able to reset and take time for each thing we do. I think we all needed that. So that was very important time for me and maybe for everybody else. And I also have a great appreciation for my family, friends, great friends like you guys, because we check on each other. Are you okay? How are you? So I was able to connect with so many friends in the US, in Japan, different countries. So that was I recognize that we have a gift, friends, human connections. So I just can't wait to see everybody in person.
I agree that that if this has taught me something, it's some of what you have said is how important human connections are. And
Yes.
I'll read the last 3 comments in the chat. Susan Talley, ladies and Carlos, thank you for sharing your time with us, from Susan Talley. Patty Adams, who you all know, bravo everyone. Carolina Lagunes, my good friend bassoonist from Mexico, from the National Symphony. Greetings from Mexico. Carolina, you are everywhere. Estás en todas partes. You're like Eva. They show up in every
Hola.
Ya ves, Eva, que tú conoces a todo el mundo. Sí, Eva,
Bueno,
Eva knows everyone I know, and
Go.
Carolina also. So one is in Veracruz, the other one is in Costa Rica. And thank God for technology, because
Yes.
we can do these amazing, I'm doing through the Orchestra of the Americas, these podcasts. They're called Sound Post. If you can listen to them. I've already interviewed Gil Shaham.
I've listened to that, yeah.
I also interviewed Raúl Gomez is the other.
Sí?
Raúl and I do this together, and we interviewed Paquito de Rivera, Gabriela Montero, and I'm interviewing Yo-Yo next week for the same. So, and I have to tell you something. Through this technology, I've actually gotten to know people who I used to know just occasionally. And so I'd like to kind of finish with this thought that let's not continue in life with this kind of impersonal. I know you are not like that, but I am a little bit like this. So I've learned a very big lesson that it's not enough to know the musician. You have to know the person. Every single musician that I have interviewed, and the four of you are perfect examples of that, is 10 times more interesting and 10 times more lovely than I could ever have imagined. So for me, it's an incredible opportunity to have these conversations. And the one thing I hate to have the last say, but I will. But I'd just like to ask you to say something to say goodbye. Zhaneta, you start.
Yes, well, first of all, I miss you all so much. I had no idea that I'm gonna miss that wall of sound. And you, Carlos, seeing you conducting, I also don't know, how do you live without conducting? Where do you put that energy, that talent? But I really miss you as a drug, like that making music with you guys. And I hope we will play together in September.
Now, Yuki, also say goodbye.
Yes. Well, it was fun. I was a little bit anxious about being on the show, but I think it went well. And what else? Oh yes, I feel very fortunate to be part of the LPO family. I feel very powerful being with you guys. So
Thank
good
you.
night.
And Zorica.
Just thank you for everybody, to everybody actually being here, to my colleagues and to everybody who is in the chat. I keep reading actually the comments. JT, we miss you too. And thank you for being here. And I'm really looking forward to whatever project we can do together again in September. I really miss doing music playing music with other people.
Mm-hmm.
And Eva.
Well, I want to second Zhaneta's words about how much I miss all of you and playing music. That saying of you don't know what you don't have until you don't have it, or something like that, or you miss something. What is it? It's for real, because now that we're not playing for 3 months, I can really feel it. So I'm really looking forward to seeing you all hopefully soon, and like Zorica said, in any kind of project that we're going to do again in September. So yeah, thank you so much for having us.
I am so grateful to the four of you for accepting this interview and for telling us so many beautiful things, sometimes funny. And I never thought that we would be talking about the Kardashians. or about
too.
this
Sorry for
song,
bringing up
but
that.
I guess it was the prosecco in Zhaneta's hands. But
Yeah.
you know, you taught me one lesson.
Cheers.
Starting next week, I'm going to have a glass of wine, and I'm going to have everyone who is participating, who will accept to do that, to have a glass of wine, so that our conversation goes into the direction that it has gone. Before saying goodbye, I have to invite everyone to join in next week, same channel, same place, same everything, for our 8th episode. That is 8 already. And we are going to have 3 people. One thing which I've talked about with some of your colleagues, we didn't touch upon that today, is improvisation. I've asked several people whether they improvise. So next week, we will have 3 people who are masters at improvisation: Aurora Neeland, Doreen Ketchens, and our
Oh
own
la la.
Dave Anderson.
Yay.
So that
Super.
will be really
Super.
interesting, because I will ask them. I already have so many questions that I need to ask them. And my number one question is whether I still have a chance to learn. Because I've always wanted to improvise, but when I'm in the company of people like Doreen or like so many wonderful people in New Orleans, I don't dare. I will stop speaking now, and I will tell you that this has been a very, very fun and very uplifting conversation. I get very emotional at the end of these, but I think we will see each other in September. So let's not get emotional, and chin chin with a prosecco, and to the best to all of you, and to all the LPO fans, all musicians. I know Tyler just joined, or may have been joining, our fabulous violist, and so many people. Thank you. The LPO is an essential part of the community. And these ladies here are an example. They have a lot of students. They have put roots in the community. They have been part of New Orleans, and they have really made a difference in the community. So I will see you in September, and please stay as positive as you are, because you all taught me a lesson, each one of you, of how to stay positive. Bye-bye. Thank you. Adios.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Oh,
Adios.
Thank you.